Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Talking Insights. I'm your host, Antonio, and today we're joined by Arundati Dandapani, data analytics and insights industry leader and founder and CEO of Generation1.ca. Also a longtime Esomar contributor, and now she's diving into the Esomar Academy. She's doing a training in just a couple of weeks called Breaking the Noise, Creating Strategic Global Impact with Research Stories and Partnership. It is honestly a must-attend for researchers, marketers, and strategics alike. It's honestly a must-attend for researchers, marketers, and strategics. It's honestly a must-attend for everyone that's in the research and insights industry. And I hope with this conversation we can kind of unveil a bit what's going to happen and what's this whole breaking the noise all about. So I hope you enjoy the conversation. And now, without further ado, here's Arundati. All right. Well, welcome, Arundati. Thank you so much for being here, and thanks for your time. And when I invite you for this podcast was about this training that you will be doing in the Esomar Academy in just a couple of weeks. And I want to start by asking that, like, what the training is called, Breaking the Noise, Creating Strategic Global Impact with Research Stories and Partnerships. And I want to ask, like, why is it becoming harder to break through the storytelling today? What's up with that?
Thank you so much. Really exciting to be here, and thank you for the invite. I mean, the world has been changing so dramatically, and over the past 5 years itself, it's changing so fast. Every day, new technologies, new organizations coming up, new startups, a lot of innovation happening. But at the same time, every brand is starting to sound the same almost, and we're drowning in this noise. Whether it's the overload of internet, data, AI-powered tools that really blur the ability to see what the real problems are and how do we act decisively. So we really need some advanced upskilling in creative thinking and critical thinking and creativity. So these were once, creativity and critical thinking were once the hallmarks of human ingenuity and, human expertise. But now we're being challenged in a world where we're advancing towards AGI. And as technology gets more capable, we must reimagine our roles and in relationships to these technologies, not just as prompters, but as strategists, as visionaries, as ethical vanguards. And, with only about 10% of the 1,200 or so research tech platforms that are, surviving beyond their early years, based on all your reports, it's clear that, cutting through the noise is essential for our industry, and it means offering genuine value, but also being clear about what that value is to our clearly defined audiences. Another thing, we're also tending to lose something deeper, which is empathy. When we fail to adapt to the evolving needs of consumers, employees, citizens, society, even the best stories fall flat. And that's something that we need to work a lot towards achieving that resonance, a lot of co-creation. And hopefully this course provides some of that and a lot of interactivity with really meeting the needs of our customers and our stakeholders better.
Yeah. It's at the end of the day, we have to keep reminding ourselves that we're all humans. Like, yeah, it's cool and all of that, but it's a tool and we're still human. So we need to learn how to use it and don't forget the human part of it. Right. And right now we're living this age of dashboards and everything. Like when we go to the office, it's like, even like here, like at SMR, we go to the office and it's like, everyone has like dashboards and data everywhere. It's like a data dump of information. What role does storytelling play in all of this, and especially on making data like sticky and being important?
Yeah, the power of storytelling, it's such an ancient tradition, but it's transformative and, applied with the right context, it works beautifully, it works seamlessly, and it works with strategic impact that really advances our goals. So we're turning data, so numbers, maybe rich qualitative emotion, but we're turning all that into something that we can actually understand, something that you can see, feel, play with, and understand. And yes, you mentioned sprawling dashboards and overwhelming metrics. In all this, this, we need to understand that clarity is everything, and clarity is success, and clarity is the path to success. So we need to start by asking the right questions. What do clients want? What do employees want? What does each department have? What do they need to communicate with each other? And what should they take away? What should be our one takeaway, two takeaways, or three takeaways for the organization, for the department, for the team? And if we're not clear on our learning objectives, and I often talk about learning objectives because, I think it's a simple way to, we're sharing information because they want people that we're presenting the information to want to learn something. So if you're not clear on what those learning objectives are, we risk turning valuable insights into noise. And data storytelling hopefully turns all that, it bridges that gap between insight and impact. And we really want to make the learning curve more accessible, whether it's between colleagues, whether it's between our team and clients, between our team and other organizations. And we want to really help people understand what the data are saying, but we also want them to understand why it matters. What are some macro trends? What are the micro trends? What are the macro trends? What's happening in the short term? What are some scenarios we can expect in the future? And these data or these data sets should really narrate that change, urgency, opportunity, and that can only be communicated if there's clarity throughout the cycle. But all this means you need to customize, you need to iterate, because you need to meet every person where they are. It's not a soft skill. People used to say, storytelling and communications are soft skills. It's not. It's very much marrying science and art, and it's a strategic imperative that really makes data usable, meaningful, and memorable. And what you mentioned about data sticky, that's when data is usable, meaningful, and memorable, that's when it gets sticky. And for example, if you're talking about a retail company that wants to track churn across regions, different regions, provinces, states, branches, the dashboard, you can flag certain increase in churn in certain areas, but that's all the data will tell you. You won't be able to, you need to understand how it correlates with late delivery times or inconsistent promotional offers in specific zip codes. And by turning insight into a short story, so, our loyal customers are leaving because their expectations aren't being met where it matters most, reliability and reward, those are the metrics we should look at. The team immediately sees, okay, this is where we should intervene, and logistics are now a priority. Marketing adjusts their messaging, and, the leadership reallocates budget accordingly. So this is what storytelling does and can do. It makes the learning curve more accessible, and the insights more actionable, and people feel rewarded when they're part of that journey. It moves people from knowing to doing. So yes, we need powerful dashboards like you have and like you mentioned, but we also need purposeful narratives and be willing to experiment, iterate, and see what's working, and customize. Customization is key because the data should compel. It's not just about informing. It needs to compel the other people to action.
Not to be just robotic. It has to have the human feeling after all. Now, let's talk a bit about the training. The training is in a couple of weeks. Walk us through, what's the structure of it? Do you already have it kind of in mind? What can the attendees expect of it?
Yes, and generally, this is going to be, we'll start with the foundations about strategic storytelling. So what makes a story powerful, especially in data-driven environments? So you learn some frameworks that blend logic, emotion, context to communicate insights with more clarity and influence. You understand the three important pillars of communication: audience, purpose, strategy. And then we move on to next, once the foundations are established. And the foundations are just to have a baseline so we can move together in the course towards common goals, and the practitioner's toolkit, which is more about tools, techniques, and technologies that elevate data storytelling. Whether you're working with dashboards, presentations, white papers, social insights, any types of data sources, expect hands-on exercises that will sharpen your ability to adapt stories for the different audiences and contexts. And then we'll move on into cross-cultural and futures thinking, which, although it might be a separate section here, but it should be embedded in every part of the storytelling. However, it just helps to focus on talking about these topics a little separately so people can make these more intentional. This is where attendees are encouraged to build cultural fluency and apply more systems thinking and futures thinking. So you learn about how to future-proof your narratives and position them within the broader socio-political, organizational shifts, business dynamics, and so on. And then we'll talk about, the next section will be about editorializing for impact, where I've always said that, what makes researchers different is that we are in the business of editorializing insights, and it's never been more critical now than ever. So we'll tackle tone, framing, structure, ethics. There'll be real-world examples, and you can rework your own stories with feedback loops that help you move from functional to really compelling and jaw-dropping. I spent a good amount of time in this part talking about AI and its relationship with human storytelling, and also the business and social impact cases and good governance. So this will be a really fun session. And to top it all off, there'll be a co-creation lab and showcase where it's an interactive lab where participants can co-create and present strategic stories using the course principles and everything we've learned. And it's a chance to apply all these concepts in a collaborative, open environment that's high feedback. And feedback and evaluation is one critical muscle that we will need to keep on honing. And this is what is going to get our story from, good to great. So
Yeah.
I think this will be a packed 3 days, and I look forward to sharing all this, as well as through all this also talk about the evolution of skills in terms of what we would need. I do a major annual study about skills in terms of what are needed for success, and this year, unsurprisingly, AI skills have been increasingly seen by employers as the top skill needed for success. So
Yeah.
we will talk a bit more of that in relationship to critical thinking and developing your creativity.
I can tell it's going to be like a very hands-on and where you're going to learn a lot session. And it's not just going to be like someone just talking to a camera. It's going to be like actually hands-on and interactive, and it's going to be great. And I can also imagine that this is not only for like the early career researchers, but also that's something the experienced ones can also benefit from, because sometimes you just need to like remember some things that you've forgotten from the past, right? So I can imagine that it's good for everyone.
Yes, the audience is definitely a learner across all levels, having taught both earlier careers, mid-career specialists, but mostly a lot of adult learners and global learners. I think there will be a rich. I mean, I would always love to see who shows up, but this course is for everyone, from corporate training departments, teams, or to individuals looking to upskill. If you're interested in the future of insight storytelling, as someone who published her first story at the age of 8 in a high-reach national daily, I think I've learned a lot over time and have evolved a lot as new types of technologies have come our way, and we've seen new globalization and shifts and business shifts. I think there's a lot that we can exchange in this, and what I think will be a powerful platform like the Esomar Virtual Academy.
That's great. I have one final question. What's like one book or research or a recommendation that you have for those wanting to improve their data storytelling skills? And I can imagine that you can always say like, oh, just this course, obviously, but as almost as a homework before the actual course, do you have like one recommendation?
So there'll be a number of resources, and I will hand that out during the course. But there are some books that have been really great. Keeping Up with the Quants, which is all about quantitative analysis, Data Story, which is about design thinking in data storytelling. And then there's many across consumer insights and polling, including, You've Been Randomly Selected, which is memoir of a very famous researcher, a public opinion researcher. So I definitely say diversifying the types of books and stories you're reading about data storytelling and about insight storytelling is useful. And I provide a mix of both the consumer insights and the public opinion research books that I've mentioned. There's also polls, posters, and public opinion. There's Shopping for Votes, which may not necessarily be a book about the technique, but it is they use techniques in storytelling to communicate an idea very effectively. And inspiration is always very, very helpful in honing your storytelling skills. It's contagious, as I'm sure the co-creation lab part of the course will prove. I will also highly recommend signing up for my newsletter, Culturally Significant. I went to a lot more resource if you're interested in stories and data. There's another great book which is open source that is completely free. It was written a while ago, but published by RTI Press. It was called The Essential Role of Language in Survey Research, and I think that had a mix of very many different authors who collaborated, including myself, to talk about different stories. But I think these are all some open resources and some resources from libraries, as well as books you can buy.
That's all great resources. That's a bunch of great books. I will link them all in the description. So if you're curious, just go to the description of this episode. There's all the information. And there's also some information about the course. and where you can also go and find more details about it and find the registration links if you're interested about it. Breaking the Noise, Creating Strategic Global Impact with Research Stories and Partnerships is in just a couple of weeks, and I'm very excited. I know that everyone at the SMR office are already talking about it. We already got some people that want to, go there and like learn from it. So yeah, I think it's going to be a very good training. So thank you, Arundati, for your time. Thanks for creating this course.
Thank you so much. Very excited to see you all there.
For me, that's all for today, and I will see you on the next one. So bye.